Warzone used to be the only door in Call of Duty that did not ask for a credit card before you stood in the lobby. Now that door is still technically open, but Activision moved the handle to newer hardware. Owners on PS4 and Xbox One are not being erased today, which sounds comforting until the timer starts blinking. Before anyone pretends this is confusing, check the calendar and read the small print on the eviction notice. New downloads stop on June 4, the store closes on June 25, and Last Generation loses Warzone when Season 1 arrives. Those dates are the useful facts, not fog, not mystery, not another 10-minute sermon about plastic soldiers being abandoned. Nobody needs poetry here, because the story is simple enough for the loudest guy in the lobby. Older hardware has reached the end of its ticket, and the match is moving forward without everyone who helped fill it. Free-to-play now comes with a hardware paywall, which turns a $0 game into a console purchase with better lighting. And if you want to know where old players sit on the priority list, watch which plug gets pulled first. Hint, it is not the plug that lets people play. Everyone spent years saying PS4 and Xbox One were holding Call of Duty back, and maybe that was true. Funny enough, those weak machines stayed powerful enough to process bundles, skins, coins, passes, and every shiny purchase button. Support lasted deep into the newer cycle, long after the industry had already called Last Generation ancient. Hardware limits became urgent only when the business math finally stopped looking worth the trouble. Store access ends before the game itself ends, which says plenty without needing dramatic music under it. This is not just a technical upgrade, it is a scheduled eviction with clean corporate shoes. Companies do not keep old platforms alive because they love dust events, slow meanness, and screaming fans. Businesses keep them alive while money still moves, then call the exit strategy progress. Even then, the console was old, but the business model stayed fresh, fed, and very awake. One day you are dropping into Warzone, missing easy shots, blaming audio, and promising your squad-proof next match. Next day your console becomes a museum piece with fan noise, storage warnings, and emotional damage. Modern Warfare 4 is aimed at PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC and Switch 2, while PS4 and Xbox One are not invited. That Switch 2 part should not be buried, because it is the punchline wearing a launch badge. If you want to know how little 10 years of PS4 loyalty matters, look at the guest list. A console that does not even exist yet has priority over the one currently heating your living room. Nintendo spent years outside the main Call of Duty party, watching from a different lane with different hardware. Today Switch 2 walks through the front door while PS4 stands outside holding the coats. Importantly, this does not mean old PlayStation hardware deserves support forever. Rather, it shows how fast platform politics can flip when a new partner becomes useful. Yesterday's outsider becomes tomorrow's launch friend, while yesterday's workhorse becomes a legacy cost with a thank you note. In Call of Duty, even machines get replaced when the roster changes. Progress did not arrive with a handshake, it arrived with boots, patch notes, and a platform list. Corporate language avoided a funeral because funerals admit something died. Instead, the message feels like natural selection for a support page, where survival depends on speed and payment. Your PS4 may have survived 10 years of heat, dust, rage quits, updates, and squad arguments. Suddenly, that machine is being retired by a blog post, which is not heroic, just very modern. Great news, Warzone is moving forward, which sounds exciting until your wallet sees the toll gate. Upgrading is not painless when console prices have climbed higher than many players expected. Reports put current machines above their original launch prices, so this lands during a rough shopping season. Telling players to buy new hardware now feels like kicking them from economy, then announcing first class got expensive. Sure, better machines can mean bigger plans, faster loading, cleaner menace, and fewer old limits. Still, none of that shrinks the bill for the person who wanted one more year from the same box. Gaming's future looks shiny and fast, but apparently it also wants financing paperwork. Clearly, Warzone is not dying for everybody, and that difference matters. PS5, Xbox Series, and PC players keep moving while PS4 and Xbox One stop at the bridge. Practically, the servers are not collapsing for the whole crowd, the guest list is changing. Call it less a funeral than a VIP door with a bouncer checking hardware age. Linked Activision accounts should keep progress when players move platforms, so skins, ranks, and items can survive. Cosmetics get a rescue helicopter, while your console is told to stay behind. Migration sounds neat in a help article, but it still means buying another platform before silence arrives. For many players, the account survives, the memories survive, and the box that carried both gets abandoned. Notice the store receives its own shutdown date, because priorities always find a calendar slot. On PS4 and Xbox One, the in-game store closes June 25, before the final end of play. Executives are not simply pulling a plug, they are unplugging the cash drawer with ceremony. Reward track progress remains during the remaining seasons, which gives grinders something to chase during sunset. Yet the order of events tells a colder story. First stop selling extras, then let the old platform breathe for a while, then close the door. Some people will call that respectful, and compared with uglier live service endings, it almost is. Almost does heavy lifting there. They stopped selling you stuff before they stopped letting you play, which is nearly polite in the way a parking ticket can be neatly printed. PS4 and Xbox One fought past retirement age, crawling through menus, storage warnings, updates, and fans screaming like aircraft. Eventually, the Gulag said no redeploy. Current generation focus should help studios build around faster drives, stronger chips, and fewer compromises. Because Modern Warfare 4 is built for current machines and PC, Warzone can follow without dragging older limits behind it. Developers probably looked at old hard drives and saw a crime scene with a loading bar. But the core issue is not whether old hardware was tired. Reality is not the plastic box alone, it's the precedent. Old hardware does not become evil, it becomes expensive to support, awkward to test, and easy to blame. Mercifully, the console did not crash at the finish line. Finally, it retired under enemy fire while the scoreboard kept updating. Predictably, the real funeral starts in the comments, where players form the usual circular firing squad. Meanwhile, community reaction does the normal internet routine, sprinting between demand and outrage. Gamers asked for next-gen focus for years, often saying last-gen systems held the series back. Then someone checked the price of a new console, and progress suddenly looked less like freedom than an invoice. Certain players say the move is overdue because they want better performance and fewer compromises. Others see the money problem clearly, because not everyone can turn a platform shift into a weekend purchase. Both sides have a point, which makes the argument more annoying than useful. Online crowds begged for the future, then screamed when the future requested card details. Feedback is easy when it costs nothing, but hardware upgrades are where opinions meet rent. Here is the real warning label, and it is bigger than Warzone. You do not own the battlefield in a live service game, you rent permission to stand on it. Physical games used to die when the disc cracked, the console failed, or nobody came over anymore. Live service games die when support ends, access changes, or a spreadsheet gets promoted above sentiment. Past Call of Duty games can remain playable online on PS4 and Xbox One, but Warzone moves with the current machine cycle. Crucially, that difference matters because Warzone is not just a product sitting on a shelf. Operationally, it is a running service with seasons, stores accounts, downloads, rules, and a company deciding when the old road closes. Players can keep progress if they move, but they cannot force the old version to stay alive by caring hard enough. Ultimately, the useful breakdown is not complicated. June 4 blocks new downloads, June 25 shuts the store, Season 1 ends the last-gen Warzone road, and newer platforms carry on. Behind every joke sits the same fact: the game did not get deleted from culture, but it left players behind. Maybe that is progress, maybe that is business, and maybe it is both wearing the same helmet. Viewers clicked because the title promised a breakdown, not a foggy sermon about abandoned soldiers made of plastic. Clips can make the story look mysterious, but the record is plain enough for anyone who wants the schedule. Evidence does not need to strut when the dates, platforms, account transfer, and store cutoff already carry the weight. Claims about technical freedom should be judged beside the money trail, because performance talk sounds cleaner when nobody mentions purchases. Dates give this story its spine, and everything else is commentary wrapped around a calendar. Cynicism fits because the company gets progress, newer platforms get attention, and old players get a polite exit notice. Grounding matters because rage without facts becomes noise, while facts without attitude becomes a support page nobody watches. Receipts show the machine worked as designed: sell access, sell style, sell seasons, then move the crowd when support no longer pays. Summary should stay blunt, because the useful version is not a tragedy opera, it is a platform change with prices attached. Audiences deserve the roast, but they also deserve the map, because outrage helps only when somebody marks the exits before the lobby goes dark. Budget players can hear every polite phrase as one message: congratulations, your free game now needs expensive transportation. Loyalty suddenly looks cheap when the old box carried seasons for years and still loses its seat. Commentators should not pretend this is shocking, because live service games always keep the receipt and hide the deadline. Casual viewers only need the clean version. Activision picked newer hardware, protected progress, closed sales, then ended access. Honestly, the cruelest part is how ordinary it feels after years of seasons, bundles, friendships, late nights, and routines. Either way, free-to-play just reminded everyone that free has conditions, and the final boss was never Verdansk. Terms of Service won the final public match,